All right, it is just after 6:30. I thought I was waiting to record, but apparently it was recording already. Hello, thank you for attending this presentation that I'm giving today. It's actually kind of my baby, something that has been um, growing inside of me for the past year. It's just been a lot of in the making, quite a few just post-it notes and letters and stuff like to myself. And here I am compiling it all together in one place. So generational well-being, let's join the movement. And what is that? What does that really mean? Generational well-being. I have a couple fun quotes here. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Helen Keller. And if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Gosh, I love elephants. They're so awesome. And the real thing here is that I say, my company's Doyan Pride, and it's, like Lion Pride. And I say it takes us a strong pride to raise strong cubs because we are, the takes a village to raise a child kind of concept. And when we work on ourselves, we're actually helping to make the world a better place because the community is made up of its individuals. So I say be the change that you want to see in the world, just like Gandhi. And how perfect is that? Mindset metamorphosis right there. All those butterfly changes. Okay, what to expect while you are with me during this hour. I'm going to go with a quick overview talking about energy systems and physical needs, thought processes, to really lay down some background to make sure that everybody's got everything that I'm working with, that you're on the same page as me, so that when I go in and start describing generational dysfunction and mindset metamorphosis, you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about because I kind of think I made up those words. And also, I'll share my story so far so that you can see these things in action and then show how that can apply to your own story starting today. And so here we go with the overview. And I'd like to thank visionary Lisa Celine for this visual, and you can find more at lisaceline.com, as you can see up there in the top right corner. First of all, there's many dimensions of existence, but humans are able to access 3 of them. We've got the 3D awareness, 4D, and 5D. And 3D is more physical world. We typically seek happiness outside of ourselves when we are rooted deeply into the 3D awareness. We're focused on labels and judgment, and we feel separate from each other when we're in 3D. And those are, you hear people say like how they're like low vibe and high vibe. When you're deep seated into 3D awareness, that's a lot of lower vibing energy. And before I go any further, I will point out that we exist in, I said it before, but like I want to emphasize, we exist in all of these levels. We have access to exist in all of these. So it's not like you move out of 3D and you just into 4D. I mean, you still got 3D. The thing is you get layers. And I'll just explain. 4D existence is more of a consciousness awakening. We're starting to seek knowledge and understanding. We're noticing the ego and how it's having its play in our realities in our world. And we kind of battle it out. This is where a lot of our beliefs are, and we're questioning those as well. And it's a good path to be on, to be moving out through that. But it's easy to get stuck in this section. And I speak from personal experience there because I definitely was stuck there a lot, but you'll be in a lot more higher frequency. But the goal as a human is to get into 5D awareness, where we actually have a unity consciousness. Like we are all one, we're all related. Every time I say that, I think of Lion King, we are one. We're dropping the ego, we're dropping judgment, we're embracing love and acceptance and grace. These are higher vibrationals going on, which means that we are living in love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. That doesn't mean that we're like floating around with unicorns and butterflies and there's rainbows coming out of us, because shit still happens in life. But the thing is that we come at it differently. So we'll move on to the next thing. Here we go. I think a lot of people are pretty familiar with this, especially if you've even taken like a psychology class or maybe a science class. But Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I'll be honest, like I said, this is my baby. So like I haven't quite fully connected all of the dots for everything yet, but to like share how they all interconnect. But I do know that they interconnect. And in the hierarchy of needs, it's basically saying that if your most basic needs are not met, you typically are not going to care if you don't have anywhere to live and you are starving and you are freezing, you typically aren't going to care if Betty invites you to the ball or whatever, so like esteem isn't that high on the plate. Now, some people literally, I guess you would say, they get their priorities mixed up and they jumble these around, because you always want to make sure that you have a strong foundation. So these are the hierarchy of needs. First, your physiological needs, like just basic third world things, like not third world, third dimension things, food, water, sleep. Then there's safety. Do you have a good home? Do you have comforts that come with that? Love and belonging, like friendships and family. And then esteem. Are you recognized? Or do you have value? And then self-actualization is where you actually like altogether, have reached the epitome of life. And I think this is kind of basic, but I wonder why it's not letting me just click down. Whoopsies. Oh, we got carried away. All right. There's also energy systems. And a lot of people are familiar with the words chakras and chi or ki or whatever. So we have a lot of chakras, but a lot of the times people focus just mainly on the main 7 that you can see here. And we have auras and meridians. There's all sorts of energy flow around us. And if you're feeling like less vital or energetic or in an emotional funk, it's possible that you have a chakra that is clogged or stuck. And our emotions and thoughts can actually cause these blockages in our chakras. And if we don't address them, these blockages eventually manifest as some sort of illness, disease, pain, discomfort. Our bodies will speak, our minds, our chakras are all associated with different sections of the body, and they each have their own functions as well. The root chakra is the first one to form as we're growing. It's the first one to like mature, and that's our survival, our grounding, our stability, comfort, and safety. Kind of sound familiar with the pyramid of, yeah. And then the sacral is the orange one, and that one is sensuality, creativity, emotion, sexuality, and that's just below the belly button, right along where like your uterus is if you're a female. And the solar plexus is just above the belly button, and that is that's like the bridge between our third dimensional living and our fourth dimensional living, because in the solar plexus, we're starting to look at ego and self-esteem, and that's where we start thinking. And then we move into the heart chakra, the green one, And this is where love and acceptance, kindness and peace is typically, that's where that's associated with. Now we're for real into fourth dimension living. Throat chakra, the blue one, this is our communications, honesty, speaking our truths, self-expression. This got clogged up a lot for me because, and probably for a lot of people around my age group, because children weren't supposed to be speaking, and definitely not allowed to speak the truth pretty often because we were taught it was rude. I'll get into that later. The third eye, right up here in front of the brow. And this is where our intuition and our knowing is. And that typically gets closed off a lot. And then our crown chakra is at the top of the head. This is our knowledge, our self-realization. This is our connection to the collective, like we are all one. And this is our highest spirituality. We've actually got other chakras, but we're not going to get into those. And Reiki is a particular way of working with the energy flows that are in our aura and along our physical body. It breaks down these energetic disruptions and blockages that we have, and it helps clear and balance out the chakras. I kind of like to look at it like going to the chiropractor and getting an adjustment on your body, but instead it's on your chakras and your energy fields. So it straightens the energy pathways and all the meridians, and it just provides you a healthy and natural life force flow so that you can be at tip-top shape, feeling the best that you can. All right, now I'm gonna talk some more words. So there are three brains, so to speak. We've got our primal brain. That's the yellow one over there, the hindbrain. And it handles vital functions. It's the oldest and strongest part of our physical brain that's in our skulls. It doesn't do much thinking. It's more of a default setting. And imagine railroad tracks in a dirt road, not railroad tracks, wagon wheel tracks that are in a dirt road. I guess it could be railroad tracks, like you built down a railroad, and it handles things like breathing, your heart rate, and also habits and addictions get locked in over here too, because if it picks up that, hey, I like this, when I like to have this coffee in the morning, I like to have this coffee in the morning, and then you don't have your coffee in the morning, it's going to go, wait, I want to have that coffee. I want to have that coffee, because it's a default button that's been pressed in the brain. And this is literally the oldest part of our brain. So a lot of the habits and railroad tracks that have been produced in there are very well ingrained. Our ego brain, more so in the forebrain, the rest of that, all that purple, is a more newer physical part of the brain. This is where our thinking and our reasoning and our choices come from, how we have our emotions and all of that great stuff. The problem is this is like where the ego loves to hang out, and the ego can be a lot like a toddler, especially if we don't like, like if you get, okay, I have a husky and she's crazy, all right, and if she doesn't get training, she can be quite unruly, and the same goes for the ego. And then the third eye, brain, I'm calling it, that's our spiritual knowing. I showed it to you earlier. It's our spiritual awareness, intuition, insight, imagination, vision, individual consciousness. The typical way of looking at it is I see. It can be, and then it can really get blocked up by our primal brain and our ego. The primal brain, although it doesn't really think, it's very strong. It's been around a long time, and it's been flexing its muscles for a very, 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 very long time, and it's brute. And the ego is really sneaky, and it really likes to make sure that it's keeping us as low energy reserve and as safe as humanly possible. So they really like to interfere. So how are our thoughts? How do our thoughts actually create our realities? Okay, so you'll have a circumstance or an event, just a thing that's happened in the world or with other people. It's a personal experience you've had, maybe something that you're looking at from the past, something that's coming up in the future, something just about ourselves. It's a factual based circumstance that can be proven in a court of law, just a fact. And we're looking at those and we have thoughts about those events. And those thoughts are based off of our attitudes and our rules and our beliefs and our meanings that we hold to be true in our brains. And those are what determines what sort of emotionals and physical sensations we end up having. We can have healthy feelings and unhealthy feelings. We can be really happy. We can be really sad. We can feel depressed. We can feel angry. We can get shaky. We can get butterflies in our stomachs. We can get a headache. We can feel flush in the cheeks. We can get gas. There's so many different things that can occur from that. And our behaviors that result, this all ends up resulting in our behaviors. We can react to something or respond to something, and it might be constructive. It could be self-defeating. Perhaps we see something and we get really depressed, and then we decide to eat like a whole bucket of ice cream. Or we get really excited about something and we go and we do a whole bunch of awesome stuff. And the thing is, it's a cycle because it all feeds into itself. Because as we do the behaviors and we feel the emotions, they're just solidifying the thoughts and the beliefs and the meanings that we have. And it just, we're always on that same little path. So the major player in this cycle is our thoughts. And that's what has the effect on our own personal world, how we interact with the circumstances and the events and the things around us. Because, you know, we all know that tons of people can see the exact same thing or be in the exact same event and have completely different opinions and completely different reactions. A good example right now would be Rihanna's halftime performance. Oh my gosh, social media blew the frick up, and it's crazy to see all the different opinions and thoughts and attitudes. Oh my freaking God, I'm so sorry. I don't know what that's about. Like I said, I have a husky. That was an event or circumstance that just happened. So the key player here to get this changed is our thoughts. That's what determines our reality. But okay, let's get a little deeper. How do we develop these thoughts? Because, you know, we all start out exactly the same. We're just a baby. We're innocent as can be, just a spirit in a human body. We don't worry about bills. We don't worry about people not liking us. We don't think people are stupid or think that we ourselves are stupid. We don't have any of that drama. Nothing at all. We are innocent blank slates. Babies are freaking awesome. And then we start to learn. We learn from our parents and our family, our friends. We go to school, we learn stuff from there, the society around us. Now there's social media, which really opens up the whole world to us. And we learn from all these places why things are the way they are, what is considered right, what we should believe, how we should do things, and we learn through this who we are. And they're all freaking stories. Every last one of them. Whether they're good or bad, they're all freaking stories. So generational dysfunction. We're here now. Why am I the way that I am? What is generational dysfunction? I came up with this term within the last 4 to 6 months. Like I've been kind of just, it pops out. I make up words. But it really is about the collective stories. There's beliefs and rules that we've adopted, and they become facts and realities. They become the center of our lives. We don't even question them because we grew up with them. And it's not anybody's fault. It's not like anybody's really done this on purpose. It's just everybody's been doing the best they know how to do with what they've got, doing what was done before them. So this stuff has been handed down. And when I say generational, I don't mean just family generations. So it definitely plays a part. You've got a lot of like family traditions and whatnot, but our community as a whole and our society, like, I mean, there's so many differences, like just between countries. Like Americans are surprised when they go to other countries about things. Other countries, they think that we're ridiculous about some of the stuff we do in America. It's and it's all because of the collective stories that have been handed down from generation to generation, you know, throughout the years. And the really sad thing is we don't question them because we grew up with them and that was our reality. Some examples is how to think and feel and act and what we should do with money, social status, etiquette, values, self-worth. These are all things that just we believe what's been told to us. And I mean, a lot of us probably remember middle school. And I swear by the time we've hit middle school, we're hot messes. And we think that's normal. We think all of that is normal, but it's not. And it's just a whole pool. Everybody's thrown into this pool of hot messes. Everybody's worried about their own self-worth. They're worried about looking stupid in front of each other. And it's sad. It really is because so many girls who are so pretty think that they're ugly and fat and they think they're stupid. You know, boys think that they're not good enough and they're not athletic enough. And the rules around money alone are crazy. But that's the rules that we grew up with. So I call it being on the hamster wheel of what the fuck, you know? Once a belief is set, our ego brains, they will seek out all the evidence that supports that thought and solidify it into our primal brain's reality. So, and it'll ignore all other forms of evidence that could come in. I don't know, there's some studies of like 60,000 bits of information is bombarding our brain every minute or second or whatever, and our brains have to quickly filter what is going to pay attention to what it's not so that we don't get eaten by a bear, you know, because back in the days we had to be worried about getting eaten by animals all the time and other dangers. So it wants to do what so it's going to look for that belief. It's going to be like, yep, see, true. Sadly, when this happens, the third eye brain becomes blocked. We lose trust in ourselves and we think we need to seek answers from outside. We can't trust our own selves because we've been told that we're wrong and that we're stupid and that this is the way things should be done. So that's where mindset metamorphosis comes in. And it's all about flipping the script and becoming aware of the stories, learning to challenge the thoughts. Are these true? Is this true or is it not? Is it serving me? And then instilling serving thoughts, identifying supporting evidence for that so that we can route new pathways in our brains and help unlock that third eye and get it back into the driver's seat so that we're making the choices that actually help us move forward in life and actually feel joy and happiness. So here's a quick little synopsis on my story, 4 decades in the making. Before 2011, I was literally living on the hamster wheel of what the fuck. I had all these situations going on. I seriously had no confidence, low self-worth. I mean, there was lots of times that I honestly had thought about just driving my car off the road. I had panic attacks. I was drinking, I was smoking, I was overweight and for quite a while, and also was constantly seeking dysfunctional relationships. It was a mess. And then I hit my first pivotal moment. It was in the summer of 2011. I was just finishing up a final and I was driving home, sick and tired of buying fatter and fatter clothes for myself, and decided I'm going to take care of my body. Mind you, at that time, it was more so to fit into skinny jeans. So I actually got my fitness pal and learned how to count calories so that I could earn Big Macs on my elliptical machine. And instead of stress eating and stress smoking, I just stress smoked. I threw it all in the same basket and cut my calories. Great times, right? But I started incorporating exercise, and then I started learning about nutrition. I learned that I love weight training. My best friend talked me to getting P90X, which I had been scared to get so many damn times, and I kept chickening out buying it. And I learned how our bodies, it wasn't just calories, it was also quality of what we were eating too, because those are the building blocks, the foundations that our bodies use to repair and replenish cells, because cells die and they need to be replaced. So within 7 to 10 years, we actually rebuild our whole body. So I was learning the importance of nutrition. And as I was getting better at my weight training, being able to lift things heavier, being able to do moves that I used to not be able to do, like a sit up. I couldn't even freaking do a sit up. My core was so bad. I was gaining confidence and becoming more aware of things. And I had joined Beachbody, and they were always talking about personal development. And I was like, that's stupid. But it started meaning something to me. And that's when I started to work on my ego brain, when I hopped into that personal development train. And in 2014, I ended up buying my own house after being bankrupt and homeless. I started taking medication for my anxiety. And once my panic attacks were under control, I started behavioral counseling because I wanted to take control of these thoughts and figure out a different way, because my way wasn't working. And I was tired of it. And the personal development reading that I'd been doing and the podcast I'd been listening to was introducing me to the concept that there were other ways to think and look at things. And it was blowing my mind. So I went and sought behavioral counseling. In 2016, I actually went and got an exercise science degree and worked in a gym for a while, loved it, and continued my personal development. Literally quit smoking cold turkey December 2017. It has stuck. That was my 6th or 7th try. I don't know. I lost count, but I finally got the thought processes in place. I call it ninja fucking my brain, but I figured it out what was going on, and I was able to fix it, and I was able to work on it, and then I was able to keep myself from backsliding. I eventually was able to get off my medication. I don't remember. That was 2 or 3 years ago for anxiety. Haven't been back on. Haven't had a panic attack since. A couple of times I got pretty close, but those were really stressful things that, not just me sitting here trying to figure out how I'm going to take care of something, because it used to be like that. I graduated from behavioral counseling, and exercise became my stress management. In 2019, I hit my second pivotal moment. My mom died in a motorcycle accident with a deer. And I was working in a toxic environment. I just felt like this big swirling sewage pile. I was in a dark place, and I was really in fear of death. And I had been getting a lot of knocks on the head to go see Lisa Filene. And so I went to her, and that's where I started taking care of my spiritual side. January 2020, I went to this appointment, had no idea what I was in for, but I'm like, I need to try this. I've been guided this way more than once, and something's got to give, because once again, I had realized my way wasn't working and I was miserable. I went to that appointment. It was an hour appointment. When I left, I was on such a natural high. It was freaking ridiculous. It went for days. And then I started seeing her monthly, just like getting an adjustment with a chiropractor. I was going in and getting monthly sessions to get my chakras cleared and opening up my third eye. And she was helping me to see the transition from 4th to 5th dimension. And I was continue with my exercise, nutrition, and self-care and building on those habits. And then from 2021 to present is when I have skyrocketed. My progress had been very minimal. And then I've been just I kind of feel like I'm on a rocket right now. It's ridiculous. But I call everything before that, before 2021, do it yourself. And now I'm in self-investment mode, and do it yourself was just not doing it for me. It was taking so long and it was so hard. And I never knew for sure if I was giving myself grace or just making excuses. Like I wasn't sure. And I kept hitting blocks and I would find myself spinning my tires in mud. So in May of 2021, I hired a relationship coach, Naomi Stonier from Plumo Coaching, and she helped me call out my stories. And she would call me out on my bullshit too. So I wasn't allowed to get away with that. And in August 2021, I had a soul realignment with Kim Pomeroy. And that's a whole nother conversation, but I call it releasing spiritual bloat. I had a lot of spiritual things that were holding me back from past lives and with my spirit. And we did 21-day clearing work, and literally it was life-changing. I can't really explain it fully. In January 2022, I got Reiki 1 and 2 certified to help self-heal and to help others heal. And there's so many things that you can do with Reiki. It's ridiculously awesome. And I'm just getting back in touch with my higher self more. In January 2023, Kim did a soul manifestation blueprint with me to help me see what my soul purpose was and what my energy centers are and what works best for me, and for me to learn to listen to myself. And so I'm here now. I'm working on these 5th dimensional things with Kim, my spiritual awakening mentor, my higher self, my spirit guides, and my angels. So that's my progress. You can't take any damn shortcuts. I know we all want to just get to the top of the pyramid and look down and be like, yay, look what we did. We made it. But if we don't make a strong foundation for that pyramid, if we even make it to the top, that crap is going to end up crumbling down. And we're going to have to start all over again, or we're just going to sit in misery down below. It takes a lot of work in the beginning, and that's why people quit, because you don't necessarily see results right away when you start, especially in the first 3 months or so. It can take up to a year to actually start seeing results from the work. I started in 2011, and in 2021, I finally realized I should be asking for help, because I had lots of rules in my brain on why I couldn't ask for help, and I needed to do it on my own. And they were just rules. And the thing was it was taking me a long time. And a lot of the times I was just plateauing. And it's very necessary to have the strengths and capabilities in place. And you can't get those unless you incrementally build things up, so that when tougher shit comes along, you have what it takes to handle it. And that's why everybody isn't doing it. Even though it doesn't seem like it's that hard, it seems like a pretty simple concept, but it's work and it's uncomfortable. You have to have honest self-evaluation, and you need to own your shit. Nobody can make you do this for you. You have to do the work yourself. The thing is that sometimes we get so lost in the woods, we don't see shit and we don't know what's going on. We can't figure out where we're going. And it's just like, we don't even know what direction to go. And I love exercise analogy. I like bringing in exercise and nutrition and gardening into analogies for mindset. And so SAID principle is actually for exercise, a specific adaptation to imposed demands. Your body or your mind will predictably change through an adaptive process in response to exercise demands placed on it. What the hell does that mean, Courtney? It means that if you want to like get stronger and you're going to do weight training, you can't do bicep curls with 2-pound weights. You lift more than that when you lift a gallon of milk. You have to put challenge on it, on the muscle, in order for it to, you lift heavier. So say you want to be stronger, you want to be able to do, you try to do 8 to 10 bicep curls. So you want to lift something that's heavy enough where when you get to 8 to 10, you're struggling to finish. That's going to failure. And then the muscles break down and they rebuild and they're even stronger. And eventually you can bump up your weights a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Same shit for mindset exercises. So it's called progressive overload. It's how to build a strong mindset. You got to always make sure you're stimulating just a little bit beyond your present capacity. You need to provide consistent, repetitive, and progressively increasing overload so that you don't end up getting stuck on a plateau. And you adjust the frequency and the intensity, the type, the time, the duration, and give it some variety so that, once again, you don't plateau, and everything needs to be individualized to what you need at the time. So what this is basically saying is that you do mindset exercises and belief exercises and thought work, and you vary it. And as you get stronger, you're able to take on bigger challenges in your life. So starting your story, what can you do to start it? Well, I got 3 basic steps of changing your thoughts. Number 1 is to identify the underlying thought that's not serving you. And I like to do this with like, I get a piece of paper and I just sit down for like 10 to 20 minutes and I just thought dump. Don't worry about spelling and or anything. Like you don't have to erase nothing. Just write everything that comes to mind. And when you have a thought, you ask why, ask why like 5 times for these things, because you'll find that you'll be uncovering layers. I think of Shrek. Ogres are like layers, but you'll be finding layers and layers and layers. Eventually, you're going to find the root cause, the root thought that's the biggest problem at this moment for you. Then you can address that thought and replace it with one that serves you. I have like a little worksheet for that too. Oh, and you rinse and repeat. Everything's rinse and repeat, because you don't just practice it once and then you're good to go. This is lifelong, just like exercise. It's lifelong or you lose it. Steps to change your beliefs. One thing is ask, is this a story or is it a fact? There are so many things that we think are facts. They're so ingrained in our primitive mind. We've known them since we've known them since before we could even talk half the time, because that's what we were growing up being taught, the stories we were taught. And really got to ask yourself, is it really true? And even no matter what the answer is, you can also ask yourself, what else is possible? And this is why we're, talking to other people, getting personal development, getting coaching is gold, because a lot of the times we might not be able to see what's possible because we are too busy seeing the one thing that's right in front of us, or we have blinders on and we're not even aware of it. And another great thing, not really sure if this is the place to put it, but assume everyone is doing their best with what they know. A lot of the times we feel like everybody's on the same exact page as us, because we're very self-centered people. And so somebody will do something, like you get cut off in traffic. And you might think, God, that person's an asshole. And what really could be is like, maybe they just found out that, their grandma died or is dying, and they're trying to rush to the hospital to see grandma before she dies. And they're not really quite in the right mind and they're in a hurry, or they're an asshole. It could be either way. But, just assume that everybody's doing their best with what they know, because even when people are doing their best and it's not that great, it's the best that they know how to do. Rinse and repeat. And then basic steps to build motivation. Here's a secret. There is no such thing as just motivation laying around. It doesn't happen. Action creates motivation. So you just got to start. There's no right time. There's no right circumstance. There's no right amount of money. There's no right anything. Just start. There's not enough knowledge that you possibly could need to get started. There's not enough experience. Just start, because when you start and you just get into the shit, you will learn what works best for you and what doesn't, and what you like and what you don't like. And as you're going, it gets better. This presentation is literally a very great example of this, because, like I said, this is stuff that's been kind of bebopping in my head. I've had some notes here and there, and I've finally been compiling it all into one place. And I guarantee you, I'm going to be giving this presentation a lot down the road, and it's not going to look much like this at that point, because it's going to be metamorphosized and as I go and I get better at it. But you got to start somewhere. And you know what? You're always a few steps ahead of somebody. And so you're always able to help someone. It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as the right time or the right anything. You can help somebody, you can do something, you can make progress, just start. And then Fear is My Homeboy. That's a great book. I forget who wrote it, but it's got a pink cover. I got it on Amazon, and I just wrote that because learn to look at fear differently. Have a different relationship with fear, because a lot of the times we're scared of the craziest things. Like, we're more scared to go and do public speaking than, hold on. It can be more terrifying to not be sure if you're going to cover the full mortgage or rent payment next month than, something that's actually physically potentially threatening. There's so much to fear. I actually shared something that Will Smith said. He had said that the best gift God has for us is on the other side of fear. And to be honest, I've been afraid of heights my whole life. And in August, I agreed to go with some other friends skydiving, and from 10,000 feet in the air, nosedived out of the plane. And I'm telling you right now, the buildup before that, the morning of, going through the course, getting into the plane, having that door open right next to me at 10,000 feet in the sky, all terrifying as shit. And then we were nosediving to the ground, literally nosediving to the freaking ground. I have no idea how fast we were going, but the fear was gone. When I'm falling, the fear is gone. It was all before that. It was just a construct. And then the parachute came out, and it was just the most amazing experience ever. And I highly recommend it. And also learning that you're learning, not failing. A lot of us have grown up in fear of failure. We won't even try something because we don't want to look stupid. We don't want to get made fun of for failing. But the thing is that's how we learn. None of us would be walking had we not been willing to fail, because we failed a lot. We fell down a lot, and we didn't go, oh, you stupid idiot, you're never going to get it right. Just stop. It's a learning process. Instead, you do something, you evaluate how it went, you make decisions on what you liked about it, what you like to do better about it. Maybe, okay, that didn't even work out at all. Let's try something else. It's all just a learning experience. Life's a dance. You learn as you go. Rinse and repeat. So Metamorphosis. I'm guaranteeing you, committing to 12 months or more of a mindset, health, and management system will develop a strong foundation of willpower and courage for you to take better actions, break old patterns, and be using the good habits to nurture your being. It can take at least 12 months because old habits are really ingrained into us, especially the older we are. And it can be very easy when stressful things come up to try to slip back into those old habits. It's just default. It's not even a failure. But a lot of the times it can be very frustrating for people. So yeah, so 12 months. Let's break down these 12 months so you understand better more. Better understand more. The first 3 months, we tend to be in higher resistance with lower motivation. That's HR and LM. And by resistance, I mean, yeah, you're like, yeah, I want to do this. By resistance, I mean, it's very hard for us to let go of a lot of these stories and beliefs that we have. We don't like them being challenged. I used to get pissed off at Naomi all the damn time because, like, no, that's just how it is. Like, why are you questioning me? Why are you stopping me to ask me about that? Very high resistance, which can lower your motivation because you're like, this is hard. Like, I don't want to let go of that. But you're gaining self-awareness and you're building a strong foundation. So you start with smaller wins where you're able to gain some confidence and learn the process. And that feeds on itself. You're learning the process, you're getting some wins, you're getting some confidence, you're learning the process. It all starts to build up. Oops, wrong way. And then now this is all dependent on individual people, like, you know, how much personal development you've already been doing before, how open you are to it, how much shit you've been through in life. Like, there are so many circumstances that can determine that, like, the length for these next things. So the next 3 to 12 months, you become coaching adaptable. You have lower resistance and higher motivation. I started noticing that even though sometimes Naomi would, like, I'd get a little pissy. I was able to be cool about it and be like, no, let's give this some time and think and have a think on it and actually be open to the possibilities of other things, even if I wasn't maybe open to it right that second. And then you begin to see changes. You begin to notice that you handle things differently, or maybe that you're sleeping better, or that you're not as crabby. Maybe you lose some weight. Maybe you have clearer skin. You start to see some changes. And then other people start noticing them too. And when you start getting a really good hold of this, you can start working towards more intense, bigger goals and issues that you may be having going on, because you've been flexing that muscle and you're getting stronger, and now you can take on bigger challenges. And for the next 3 to 12 months, it's extremely important to maintain a balanced amount of discipline and effectiveness. If you overdo it, you're going to burn out. But if you kind of slack off a little bit because you think, you know, you're doing pretty good and you take a break, you may end up regressing on your hard-earned momentum, and then you will lose motivation and you'll get down on yourself and you can end up in a downward spiral. And we don't want that. And then 12 plus months, this is when you start seeing some major life shifts that are starting to occur. Your mindset work has become more habitual. And now you can get extremely intense with your goals, like how I am, like, working on 5th dimensional awareness. And you can plan your continued training so that you avoid hitting a plateau or falling into the rut, which, you know, you could either work with me, another coach. You could be like, okay, well, I want more like periodic training. Like, I need like a little bit of an accountability check-in once in a while. It's depending on what you need. So why not you? Imagine in 12 months from now, you could feel like a whole new person. And that's really freaking exciting. So the importance of investing in yourself is, I did it for myself for 10 years and it was agonizingly slow. I got stuck in so many ruts that I didn't know were there, and I didn't know how to get out of them easily. I was trying to figure a lot of shit out, and I just kept getting stuck on these plateaus and ending up back down. And eventually I realized I should be hiring people. And it's so much more fun because you're not alone and you're um, have somebody to help you that's been there, that knows these things and is able to see them for you. It's like you're going getting up the mountain, but you're stuck because there's all these trees and you're not really sure where you're going, but they're up just a little bit higher and they can see down below and they can see your path and they can help you to better navigate and make the choices to get you where you want to be. And like I say, I feel like I'm on a rocket right now because it's getting crazy. So, how can I support you as a life coach? My offer to you is that first, we start with a free initial consult that's an hour, and we determine where you are, where you want to be, and how to get started on bridging that gap. And then from there, if we decide to work together, we'll set up our first hour session where we build your own individualized metamorphosis plan together, and we identify what first steps you're going to be attacking and set up intentions for the upcoming week. And then from there, we will have weekly one-to-one hourly sessions. And we'll be alternating between thought, story, feeling, mind work for the ego and the primal brain, and energy work with Reiki healing for spiritual and physical, emotional, and mental healing. So that we make sure that we are removing any energetic disruptions or blockages, that your life force flow is healthy and natural for the higher good, to make sure that everything is working as best as possible because they're all interconnected. Still haven't fully figured out how I'm sharing that in the beginning of my presentation, but it's there. So, packages. You sign up for 12 months and you save a little bit of money. 12 months is a $5,000 package, and 6 months is $2,600. So, some people, it really depends on you, and that's something that we can discuss more during an initial consult, like what would fit you better, and depending on where you are, where you're at, where you want to be. Like I said, it's individualized, and yeah, live your best life. And then I'll stop recording for the rest of the presentation here. I thought I stopped recording.